So, it's been 4 years since I've had the GT Grade 105. Quite a few people asked for an updated video, and this is kind of a long-term test really. I've had it for 4 years. So let me walk you through kind of what's original, what's not. So, I'm back on the original front wheel. I'm still on my Crosslight rear, which I replaced not long after getting the bike. But crucially, I actually had to have this rear wheel relaced, because what happened was the spoke nipples started to corrode. I'll show you what I mean on here. So here you can see on the front wheel, which I've just swapped back for the original, the spoke nipples are made of a material that just corrodes and just disintegrates. It's starting to get a little bit unsafe. I was worried that one of the spokes might come loose and the wheel might have a sudden failure, because there's quite a few spokes that look like this now. At the moment I've gone for a Schwalbe Durano rear tyre, just because I just found it in the shed and thought might as well give it a bit more of a go. Although it looks like the sidewalls are a little bit worn in places, but the tread looks fine. Put a new Continental Grand Prix 4th season on the front, running 28mm tyres, running Schwalbe inner tubes. It's obviously a bit dirty. The other thing you can see I've changed is the discs, so I'm using Shimano Ice-Tech rotors, just because they're a bit lighter. Just thought it might improve braking performance. Doesn't make a massive amount of difference, I don't think. It's a little bit lighter. Yeah, so I mean, what else? Clearly bar tape's been changed a few times. Saddle I changed. I prefer the Physique saddle over the one that came on it. But other than that, most stuff's original. In fact, what I'll do though, I will spin the bike around in a second. You can see the drive chain. So obviously the drive chain has had some changes over the years I've had it. The brakes, I've stuck with the TRPs. I have toyed with going full hydraulic, but to be honest, for the expense, I'd probably just replace the whole bike, because it's still quite an expensive upgrade. Bike Shop managed to tune these brakes, so they're actually not too bad. They're pretty good. They're not as good as a full hydraulic system, but you know, as a kind of almost, it's a pretty good. Yeah, you nearly get the braking performance of hydraulics. And so one thing that has gone, I've noticed, is this. Not really surprising. Sort of cold weather, it's kind of gone. I don't know if that means water and stuff's going into the frame, but hey ho. Yeah, let me spin the bike round and then we'll talk about the drivetrain. So the drivetrain, yeah, this is 105, as you can see. Pedals I've gone for, because this is kind of not in my winter bike, my kind of just general hack bike. I've gone for the two-sided, so the SPD on one side and a flat on the other. My summer bike I run, road shoes and pedals. Ultegra rear neck, long cage. I bought this thinking I was going to put it on my other bike, and never did. Never wanted the big ratio at the back, so I ended up replacing the 105 that wore out. I think I replaced this about a year ago. Obviously the cassette's been changed several times, and yeah, so I think this is probably the third chain set, and probably the fourth chain or so I've had in. I think it's, well, I'll check. I think it's about 15,000 kilometres, 20,000 kilometres I've done on this bike over the last 4 years. Actually, slight exaggeration. As you can see, actually it's only done 11,500 kilometres, so bit of an overestimate. However, those kilometres have been pretty hard, horrible kilometres, as in gritty, muddy, really poor, really wet weather conditions, often very cold, often as well. It's my winter bike, so it's most of the time it's generally used only during late autumn, winter, and then early spring until the roads dry out. So yeah, it's used in pretty horrible conditions and doesn't get as much maintenance and cleaning as it should do. So yeah, I mean, there are some signs of wear. I think I did this probably from the bike light you can see there. I think I at one point had it on here, and over time that's kind of worn. Yeah, I mean, other than that, the mud guards I fitted, a little bit rattly, a little bit annoying, but you know, can't really complain too much there. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the stem I've toyed with changing, because I think it was a little bit long. Probably should have got 55 rather than 56. I'm still really pleased with it as a winter bike. Is it as good as the summer bike? No, of course it isn't. It doesn't feel as fast. But I tell you what I do like is the fact that the control you get, the wider handlebars with the flare out, They're flared at the bottom there. Really nice, really nice sense of control, and it just feels far more sort of. You just feel far safer on it. I think the 28mm tyres clearly help, but the geometry is a bit more relaxed. You can go off-road really nicely on this, even with these 28mm tyres, to be honest, as long as it's not too slippery. And with knobbly tyres, this is pretty impressive. I've racked up some really good Strava times actually on mountain biking kind of tracks, sort of bridleways, byways, where they're not too technical, because you can go really quick on this off-road, which is quite nice. Yeah, so overall, still really pleased with the bike. Would highly recommend the GT Grade. It's not really changed fundamentally. This frame shape, this frame design is still what they're running now. I would advise you, if you can, go for the carbon bike. I wish I had, but at the time I just wanted to spend about £1,000, so that's why I ended up going for this one. But yeah, if I was going to get another winter bike, probably would get the carbon version of this, or maybe a full-on cross bike. But I like the fact you can fit mudguards to this, and it's a pretty versatile bike. Good as a general hack, good as a winter bike. Yeah, pretty good all round really. Yeah, hopefully this is helpful.